Hi guys, here we are for our lesson on problem solving and finding the error with decimals, which for me is going to be page 30. So our target today is that you can solve problems using decimals and that you can find the error in a decimal problem. So here's our notes. Should have gotten these in class. If you didn't, you can print them. And I'm going to go ahead and fold this and we'll get started right on the front here. It says the average height of a 6th grader is 58 4/10 inches. The average height of a 7th grader is 61 inches. How much taller is the average 7th grader than the average 6th grader? So that how much taller kind of clues me in that this is a subtraction problem. Here's my 6th grader's height and here's my 7th grader's height. So I want to take my 7th grader's height and subtract my 6th grader's height. So I'm going to take my 61 inches and I'm going to subtract my 58 4/10 inches. Well, that 61 doesn't have a decimal point, but we know that it's always right after the ones place. We'll add our 0 for a placeholder. Be careful here. This is a subtraction problem, so the answer here is not 4. We've got to borrow over here, make that a 0 and regroup. And so this is 4 from 10, which is 6. Lots of people just bring down that 4. That's an error, common error. We can't take 8 away from 0. We need to regroup again, make that a 5 and this a 10. And we see that the average 7th grader is 2.6 inches taller than the average 6th grader. All right, down here, Kathy and Deb climbed to the top of a mountain. After 4 days, they reached the top, having gone a total of 25 2/10 miles. On average, that usually clues you into a division problem there. How many miles did they go each day? So we're looking for an each day. If I want to know what 1 day's travel was, we're going to have to divide this 25 2/10 by 4. So I take my 25 2/10 and put that in the division house. That's my dividend. And my 4 outside, that's my divisor. I don't have any decimals out here, so I can just slide that or raise that decimal point to the roof. 4 divides into 25 6 times, which is 24. Subtract and I get 1. Bring down my 2. And then 4 divides into 12 3 times. And so on average, the girls went 6.3 miles per day. All right, stop that as much often as you need to get those down. I'm going to fold in here. Okay, our next problem asks us to find the missing angle in a quadrilateral. Remember that the angles in any quadrilateral have to add up to 360 degrees. And so we've got 3 of them here. We're going to add those together and then subtract from 360 to find this missing angle right here. So I'm going to take my 120. I know my decimal point's right there. 84 6/10, 76 5/10, and put a 0 in there, and we want to add these together. And so 76, 5 and 6 is 11. Put down my 1 and carry my 1. 6 plus 4 is 10, and 1 more is 11. Put my decimal point in there too, so don't forget about it. Put down my 1, carry my 1. 8 and 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and 7 is 18. Carry my 1, and I've got 281 1/10. So next I want to take that 281 1/10 degrees and subtract that from 360, because I know that all 4 of these had to add up to 360. So I'm going to take that 281 1/10, and you probably remember that we did this when we were working with whole numbers. So here it is again with decimals. All right, so added my decimal point and my 0. Can't take 1 away from 0. The answer is not 1 here. This is subtraction. Can't regroup from here, so I have to go all the way over to the 10's place, make that a 5, make the 1's place a 10. Now I can borrow from there, make that a 9, and make this spot a 10. So 1 from 10 is 9. Bring down my decimal point. 1 from 9 is 8. Can't take 8 away from 5. Need to regroup again. And 8 from 15 is 7. And so I believe that my missing angle is 78 9/10 degrees. And of course I could check that by adding all 4 of those together, which I did, and to make sure that they added up to 360. All right, so now down here, we've got the total area. Remember, the space inside of this rectangle is 32 76 square feet. The length is 7.8 feet, and we need to find the width. Well, we know that area is equal to length times width. So I'm going to write that like that. Area equals length times width. Now I'm going to substitute in the numbers I know and solve for the one I don't know. I know the area, it's 32 and 76/100ths. I know the length, it's 7 8/10ths, and that's what we multiply by W to get that area. Now this is an equation we know what to do with. We want to isolate this W, we want that all by itself, and so in order to do that, we're going to divide both sides by 7 8/10ths. I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm going to do my division problem over here. I'm going to take 32 and 76/100ths, and I'm going to divide that by my 7 8/10ths. And so in order to do that, I need to move my decimal point over one place because we want to move decimal points out of the divisor. So I move it over one place here, and that comes up right between the 7 and the 6. I can't divide 78 into 3, can't divide it into 2, but I can divide it into 327. That goes 4 times, and 4 times 78 is 312. Do my subtraction, and I'm left with 15 here. Bring down my 6, and 78 divides into 156 2 times, and that comes out even. So I know that my width then is 4 2/10 feet. And now I want my perimeter. So I know if this is 4 2/10 feet, what I need to do is add 4 2/10 plus 4 2/10 plus 7 8/10 plus 7 8/10. I'm going to simplify my life a little bit. I'm going to say 7 8/10 plus 4 2/10, and then I'm going to multiply that by 2. So 8 plus 2 is 10. Now my decimal point, carry my 1, and that's 12. And that's nice because 12 times 2 is pretty easy. That's 24. So my perimeter is 24. You can see it was a lot easier for me just to add those two and then multiply by 2 than trying to add all 4 numbers together. So my answer there should, for my width is 4 2/10 feet, and my perimeter is 24 feet. All right, last problem here. We need to see what the error is. So Tina was asked to find the perimeter of this shape. So what she did is she took the length times the width. Well, that's not how we find perimeter, that's how we find area. So the error that Tina made is Tina found the area instead of the perimeter. So we've got to find the correct answer. Well, we know that to find perimeter, we need to add up all 4 sides. Once again, I'm going to add these 2 sides together and then multiply by 2. So I've got 8 5/10, and I'm adding 3 1/10. Lined up my decimal points. 5 plus 1 is 6. Bring down my decimal point. 8 plus 3 is 11. So I'll take my 11 6/10 and multiply that by 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry my 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then 2 times 1 is 2. I've got 1 number behind the decimal point in the problem, so 1 number behind the decimal point in the answer, and so I think that my perimeter should have been 23 2/10 meters. All right, guys, there you have it. Problem solving with decimals. I'll see you in class. Make sure you bring your notes. Bye, guys.